Welcome back, day 14, the last day of our second week. I changed the picture. You're now looking at the beautiful Sea of Galilee in the north and listening to the tunes of Sean and the Rabbi. That would be Rabbi Moshe Rothschild, that's me, in a band we had many years ago. Let's get right into our message. I want to share with you a story that happened to my wife many years ago when she was 5 or 6 years old. She had signed up for a series of art classes at her synagogue. Now, during one of the lessons, the teacher was teaching them how to draw a bird. And while my wife was drawing, she took her red crayon and tried to put a mouth on the bird, but she accidentally drew the mouth way too high up. So she had this bird with this red mouth way too high on the bird's head. So the teacher came over. My wife was visibly upset. Maybe she was crying a little bit, and because she had ruined the bird. And the teacher looked at her and said to her, "There are no mistakes in art. What you actually have is a robin, a red robin." And she showed her to take the red crayon and fill in the bird in red. And now, behold, she had a red robin. Many years later, my wife saw this teacher. I think it was last summer or 2 summers ago. And she told the teacher, she said, "Look, you probably don't remember this," and she didn't. You've had thousands of students since then. And my wife recalled the story and how much that story had meant to her and what an impact it made on her life. And she remembered that story all the way back from when she was 5 or 6 years old. And the art teacher was visibly moved. She started to cry and was very, very happy to hear the story that she had made such a difference in someone's life. In the Psalms, in chapter 112, verse 7, it tells us, Samuch libo lo, I'm reading the wrong verse. It says, Mishmua re'ah lo yira, nachon libo batuach ba'Hashem. So it's talking about the righteous person, the tzaddik, and it says that the righteous person will not fear bad news. His heart is firm and confident in Hashem, in God. The question is, why doesn't he fear bad news? I mean, after all, everybody fears bad news. No one wants to get bad news. And the answer is that because for the tzaddik, for the righteous, he doesn't see anything as bad news. That ultimately everything that comes from God in this world, everything comes from God, it's all for the good. It's like that red mouth on that bird, that at first you look at it and say, "Oh my God, this is terrible. My bird is ruined." But once you realize to take what you have and to understand that nothing is for no reason, that everything that God gives us is for the good, we can redraw the bird into the robin. And this is a very profound idea expressed by Rabbi Soloveitchik, one of the greatest sages of our generation, died in the early 1990s. And he explained, he said, when something difficult, challenging happens in life, we don't ask the question of why. Why did this happen? Because that's a question that we'll never have the answer to. One can dig and dig and dig, but to understand the why is something that's only in the realm of God. One cannot understand why something bad happens. But he says, but the important question to ask is the question of what? What can I do with this? I have a red mouth misplaced on a bird. So what can I do now? Something very, very challenging happened to me. And what can I do with this? Many years ago, my wife and we lost our first child. Now, why did God do this? That we'll never be able to understand. But what we could ask ourselves is the what. What can we make of this? What can we take out of this tragedy and create something positive? So we actually went and we collected money in memory of this child. And with that money, we're able to bribe some officials in Iraq and get a Jewish kid out of Iraq that was not able to leave because of the oppressive regime there and bring him to Israel. We did some other things with the money as well, but we gave a Jewish life. We gave this kid back his life and got him out of Iraq. And there are a number of things we did, and we attached something positive to it. We asked the question of what? And that is always the question one needs to ask themselves. Look at the challenges in your life, and instead of lamenting and feeling sad over them and asking, why did God do this to me? It's the question of what can we do with this? How can we reshape and reformulate the different challenges in our life to turn them into something positive? So that's your take home and your challenge, is look at all those things in your life that are very challenging and ask yourselves, what can I do with this? What can I do to reframe and to take what I think is something that's very difficult, very challenging, and create something positive out of it? Well, that's all for today, folks. Hope you enjoyed today's message, and thanks for listening. Wishing you the deepest blessings from the land of Israel. Once again, we go out with the music of Rabbi Shlomo Katz.
Well,